So he spotted the issue.
And I have already spotted the issue in this class.
Problem.
Spot the problem. The question. The red flag when it arises. It is based upon what's called the red flag doctrine that was developed in California and which we follow here in Hawaii. Who can tell me what the red flag doctrine says? Disclose? Disclose what?
Everything.
Actually, the red flag doctrine says observe, observe, observe. Conduct a reasonable investigation of the property you're involved with so that you can be informed of the potential problems. I've had agents tell me that they don't want to see the properties because what they don't know can't hurt them. You cannot be. I don't know, how's that for you? What?
Be in jail now?
Yeah, I can't get sued for what I don't know. Give me a break. Being stupid is not a risk reduction strategy in any way. You can't be the see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil monkey. You got to be paying attention. So when you see that brown sandy stuff on the baseboard, or you notice that the floor is sagging, or that there's a water stain in the Koenig, these are red flags that indicate a potential problem. So you have an obligation as an agent to conduct a reasonable investigation of your property so that you can be informed of its characteristics. I mean, you all do that because you want to pitch it and you want to make sure that people know what the floor plan is and what its attributes are. So in addition to the marketing points that you want to get from your inspection, I want you to be looking for problems, red flags, that would then lead you to do some other things. Okay, so 1, spot the problem, question, or issue when it arises. Step 2, you talk to Sherry. You got to talk to somebody else. And under the law, you're required to submit to the supervision of your broker. And as a practical matter, you want to talk to somebody that has lots of experience. And Sherry has seen it before. And we often will talk. She'll have a conversation with an agent, and then she'll call me and say, what do you think? We've got this situation. And sometimes we'll get on a conference call, or might set up a meeting, or I might give her some guidance, and then she'll go ahead and handle it. You don't worry about that. What you worry about as an agent is that you go and talk to Sherry. I can't tell you how many problems have been made much worse because you folks keep it to yourself. Sorry. They don't get better. Problems or issues, only they ferment in an unpleasant way. It doesn't come out like wine, better with age. You need to be courageous enough to bring a problem to Sherry's attention so that we can actually have a conversation. And the purpose of the conversation is to identify the issues that are in that situation that you have, and then to recommend a plan of action to your client. So when you're talking to Sherry, do her a favor. You start the conversation not with, Sherry, there's a structural damage in my listing, what do I do? Give her the benefit of a factual context. Go through the facts. What did you see? The sidewalks were cracked, the door didn't swing freely, some of the windows were stuck, and the living room floor was at an angle. Giving her a factual context will help her maybe identify additional issues with you, so you have a conversation. Start with the facts. You've been conditioned since kindergarten to provide answers. You raise your hand, you get rewarded if you have an answer. We need to change that. We will reward you when you raise questions and issues. With the proper analysis, the answers will be self-evident. We all get to the same place if we are given the facts and we can apply our intelligence to it. Review the facts with Sherry, then take your stab at what you think the issue is. And a word about that. You may not always know how to express that issue or problem or question. Sometimes it's not easy to articulate what you think it is precisely. Don't worry about it. No pressure. Just go through the facts, and I bet you we will be able to spot the issues and help you sort that through. Okay? Trust your instinct. If it doesn't feel right, if you're getting uneasy and anxious about something, something's probably not going right. Review the facts with Sherry and I, and we'll help you work through that. Trust that instinct. It's when you don't that we have bigger problems, frankly. Okay. Facts, what the issue is, and then finally, plan of action. Purpose is to develop a plan of action that we're going to recommend to our client. The other conditioning that you need to resist is the conditioning that suggests that you do everything. That you go out there and fix it. You gotta give your client some responsibility. They have a role in this after all. It's either the client who's selling the property or the client who's buying the property. They are the true parties in interest, not you. But for some reason, we often think that we have to do everything for them because, well, that's what they expect. Or maybe they'll like me more. Maybe they'll love me if I do everything for them. And what you actually do is enable behavior on their part where they become passive, uninvolved, and then all that responsibility for the transaction rests squarely with you. And you're not even the party. You're supposed to be facilitating their purchase or sale, not yours. So don't substitute your responsibility for theirs. That plan of action will very often include a referral to somebody else, and we like referrals. The plan of action with regards to that sandy brown stuff by the baseboard, the termite droppings, would be a referral to the pest control guy. Right? They go talk to the pest control guy, and then he tells them, okay, well, it's either live or it's not live, it's ground or it's not ground. You know, he figures that out for them. As opposed to you concluding, well, I know what this is, and you start talking, Mr. Expert Termite Guy. You then become liable for that opinion. Do you have a license for pest control? If you recommend to your client the fix for that saggy floor, because that is an excessive deviation, and you know the code, and what you really need here is a 4x12 beam across this span to support, and then you become the engineer. In your attempt to impress your client with your wisdom, you then accept the responsibility that would otherwise require a licensed engineer. I mean, frankly, virtually all of my cases involve situations like that, where the real estate agent, and they would argue very often, well, I was just trying to help, and you know, my client expects me to do all this kind of stuff, insert themselves into positions far beyond the practice of real estate, more than whether the property is close to schools and shopping, and whether the property is priced appropriately, or whether its view plane is appropriate. Then they start going into engineering and law and accounting and you know, who knows what. You practice outside your license, you violated the statute with regards to your license. You can get revoked for being Mr. or Miss Helpful. You practice engineering without a license or law without a license, you only expose yourself. In addition to which, you're responsible for the opinion that you give. Give yourself a break. Are you getting paid for these opinions? You don't get paid for it, you lose your license, and get sued. Resist the urge to be like Joe Realtor. I noticed earlier the roar in this office when we started the meeting. If I have more than a half dozen realtors in a room, it is full of sound. Honestly, you guys do not stop talking. And sometimes I've been around you when you're with your clients. You would be surprised. You run a tape. Put one of those digital things in your purse or your pocket and listen to what you guys say all day. You fill the air with words. And I'm thinking, wow, maybe they think they'll hit something. I don't know.